Today, I will be talking about the educational challenges and opportunities that are faced by immigrant children in the U.S. education system. I'm going to start off with the description and overview. In the U.S., the education system is decentralized. This means that most decisions are made at the state and local levels rather than by the federal government. Public education in the U.S. spans from kindergarten through the 12th grade, with post secondary options including community colleges, universities, and vocational training programs, and these are all optional after the 12th grade. Programs have been implemented to assist recently immigrated students in adapting to the U.S. education system. ESL, which is also English as a Second Language, and ELD, which is English Language Development, programs help immigrant students gain English proficiency while continuing their academic studies. Other language support initiatives include bilingual education, dual lingual immersion, and transitional bilingual programs to support native language retention while also learning English. To continue the description and overview, these specialized programs are designed to help newly arrived immigrant students adjust more smoothly to the U.S. education system. The quality and accessibility of immigrant support programs vary by school district, often depending on local funding and policy priorities. So, not every school has the same policies implemented or the same programs implemented, depending on the district and how much funds they get. U.S. schools have seen a significant increase in immigrant children from countries like El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. In the 2020-2021 school year, 10.4% of public school students were classified as English learners, including both recent immigrants and children of immigrants. Studies shown that hiring diverse bilingual teachers who reflect the student population can enhance inclusivity, improve student engagement, and strengthen communication with immigrant families. Now I'm going to talk about the demographics of the population that is the most affected. Younger immigrant students, elementary level, tend to acquire English more quickly and adapt more easily to the U.S. education system than older students, like middle school and high school. This leads to better long term educational outcomes. Middle and high school immigrant students face increased academic and emotional challenges, including pressure to meet graduation requirements quickly and a limited understanding of the U.S. education system. Studies show that immigrant students from low income families often attend under resourced schools and lack access to academic supports like tutoring, which can negatively affect their academic performance. Many low SES immigrant students must work or care for siblings, which divides their focus between school and home responsibilities, creating further barriers to educational success. Research shows that tutoring improves academic outcomes and provides emotional support for English learners, but access is often limited by socioeconomic status. To continue the demographics of the population most affected, research shows that immigrant girls often outperform boys in language and classroom behavior, but many face cultural limitations that restrict their full participation in school activities. Boys generally show less engagement in academic tasks, contributing to lower academic achievement and highlighting the need for gender responsive educational strategies. Latino and Black immigrant students often encounter more barriers, including discrimination and poor school quality, while Asian immigrant students are frequently perceived as high achievers due to cultural and familial factors. Research shows that Latino immigrant youth, in particular, experience discrimination in school, which negatively affects their educational engagement and well being. Undocumented students face significant obstacles such as ineligibility for financial aid and fear of deportation, while students with legal residency or citizenship have more educational opportunities and stability due to their immigration status. Next, I'm going to talk about the outcomes across three domain developments. I'm going to start off with the cognitive domain. Language difficulties, dissonance, and under resourced schools can negatively impact the cognitive growth of immigrant students. Cognitive barriers may prevent immigrant students from fully developing higher order thinking skills essential for advanced learning. Studies show that bilingual instruction and culturally responsive teaching can enhance cognitive engagement and academic resilience. Inclusive educational settings have been associated with improved working memory and stronger academic identity. School leaders should prioritize supportive strategies that nurture immigrant students' cognitive development. Next, I'm going to talk about the academic domain. Immigrant students often struggle across subjects like language arts, science, math, and social studies due to language barriers. Studies show that one of the most significant academic obstacles immigrant students face is acquiring English proficiency. Limited language skills can place immigrant students behind grade level expectations in all academic areas. Studies show that schools that do not implement culturally responsive teaching and bilingual programs often fail to engage immigrant learners effectively. Academic achievement is directly linked to the equity and inclusivity of the educational opportunities provided to immigrant students. Next, I'm going to talk about the behavioral domain. Studies show that discrimination, language difficulties, and culture transitions can contribute to behavioral issues like withdrawal, inattention, or aggression. When immigrant students feel isolated or misunderstood, they are more likely to disengage from school life. Mentoring programs, culturally inclusive curriculum, and behavioral role modeling helps promote positive behaviors. If students have strong supportive relationships with their teachers and peers, this can reduce the likelihood of behavioral problems. US schools should foster safe, welcoming, and culturally sensitive environments to encourage healthy behavioral development and reduce school based challenges for immigrant students. Now I'm going to talk about some remaining aspects. The first aspect is challenges in accessing education. So, to start off, language proficiency is a major barrier that limits immigrant students' ability to fully engage with the U.S. educational system. Parental unfamiliarity with school procedures and limited English skills can also hinder students' access and support at home. Socioeconomic hardships reduce school attendance, participation in extracurriculars, and access to essential academic resources. The next aspect is challenges adapting to the U.S. education system. Cultural adjustment stress can cause confusion, isolation, and misinterpretation of behaviors by school staff. Immigration related stressors such as family separation and fear of deportation negatively affect students' emotional well being. Lack of culturally responsive support in schools can intensify adaptation difficulties and hinder academic and social integration. Next is aspect 3, which is interventions and support system. Bilingual education and ESL programs are essential interventions that promote language development while also supporting academic learning. Culturally responsive teaching validates students' identities and fosters an inclusive classroom environment. Mental health services and counseling programs can address trauma, anxiety, and stress related to immigration and cultural transitions. Next, I'm going to talk about aspect 4, which is successful models and areas for improvement. Dual language immersion programs support bilingualism, academic success, and cross cultural understanding, but are not widely implemented, meaning that not every school is provided this program. Funding shortages and a lack of trained bilingual educators limits the reach of successful intervention models. Systemic improvement requires consistent policies, equitable resource distribution, and including immigrant voices in educational decision making. Okay, next I'm gonna have a discussion and interaction. I found both access to education and support systems and interventions to be two of the most important aspects to me, so I wanted to further more discuss it. First, let's talk about access to education. I want you to think of this scenario. Imagine a student who has just arrived to the US from another country. The student doesn't speak much English and their family doesn't have a car. Their parents nor the students are familiar with the US educational system. Now that you know the scenario, I want you to think of these questions. What type of barriers can you think this student faces every day? I'm going to give you a few minutes to think this over. Okay, for the second question is what types of supports do you think schools can offer to students in this situation? Next, I'm going to talk about support systems and interventions. So imagine this scenario. A middle school in the US system has started a mentoring program. This program pairs immigrant students with bilingual students who work as mentors. Within a semester, teachers and staff are seeing positive results. Students are having higher engagement and showing increased academic results. Now that you have heard the scenario, I'm going to ask you two questions. The first question is, why do you think the program made a difference for students? The second question is, what role do you think relationships can play in immigrant students' academic success? I think for the second question that this intervention can be really helpful because it gives students a sense of belonging and making them comfortable and feel safe in an environment and fostering that relationship between peers.